Hello and welcome to Brain Trust Live number 519.
This week on the podcast, once again and always and forever, it's the guns, people.
And the Epstein files are out this Friday, so get excited for that Venezuelan ground war you've been waiting for.
Plus, the House GOP finally has a healthcare plan, and it's somehow even worse than Trump's own plan to just send people money.
And Karen Bass gears up for her re-election by thinking, eating, and dreaming of the largest police force ever devised.
We'll have all this and more.
This is Brain Trust Live. Hey y'all, I'm Brent.
I'm Lila, and you can find us on the web at www.braintrustlive.com. Right here from whatever dog pen we're in, because we just heard like a cacophony of howling, barking dogs.
What was out of nowhere? What was that?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
How'd they get into the sound studio?
It's a mysterious time here on the block. God. I don't know what to tell you.
Wild.
It's a mysterious time here in society.
God. On some level, it is, yes. But on another level, I mean, we're always shooting people in this country.
That's too true. That hasn't been a mystery at all. We are on track, once again, to have more shootings than days in America for the year. So that's a special thing that we achieve every single year.
Yeah.
I'm sure...
We're not going to say much more about that because...
Well, no, we've already made clear that we don't go through every shooting. No. The only reason that we're talking about this at all is because we went to a USC women's basketball game this weekend.
Did. Uh-huh.
And their coach just went sort of semi-viral for addressing the shooting at Brown in remarks about...
And I feel really good because was I not during that game telling you how much I like her?
Yes, he was. And the sort of description of her...
But...
Yeah, well, they were playing the top-ranked team in the conference. So we were there because my favorite women's basketball player, college women's basketball player, who's 5'4", has just transferred to USC.
Is she 5'4"? I
she's
thought she was
5'4".
Oh, she's 5'4".
5'4" is as short as you get.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah.
You're going to be 5'2".
London Jones.
Oh yeah, London
Shout
Jones. Sorry.
London Jones.
Right. But so we were there. I was there to see London Jones. Brent was there, I guess, to watch basketball.
Yeah.
And we all got to, sort of comment on the USC coaches vibe because
I love her because she's always giving this energy of like frazzled mom.
Yeah, like a lot of the coaches at those games, and I was surprised to learn this because I'm not one of America's great sports aficionados, and Brent started taking me to these games last year specifically because I became enamored with London Jones because I feel like little people should support other little people doing sports things.
Yeah. Well, and we're blessed with like both of our college women's basketball teams in Los Angeles are so good.
Right.
Both of them.
And so I didn't know that the culture of college women's basketball coaching would involve being so coiffed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I have been to, games of, high school basketball games. I've been in society. I've been to sports games, sports matches of various sorts at various levels of my education.
Sure.
And I was not familiar with the culture of, like, serious college women's basketball.
Yeah, you're doing fashion.
But they're doing fashion.
Yes.
It's lesbian fashion, but it's fashion.
Yeah.
But they're coming in with a full face of makeup and their hair is done and they have a suit on even though they're there to like shout at a bunch of women to like do sports better. And then there's this USC coach who just came out in sporting gear.
Yeah, she's in her Lululemons.
Yeah.
And some sort of top and
looks
sneakers.
Comfortable. Looks
Maybe
appropriate.
her hair's messed up. Like, did she look in a mirror before she came out? Maybe not.
No.
We don't know.
She had a barrette to keep her hair back and she was there to do the serious business of consulting on sports.
Yeah.
And so I appreciated that.
Yeah.
But Brent did call that out to me, and so I recognized her when she came into the internet sphere. Because
she went to Brown.
She went to Brown, and so she
came off the court to go to her post-game press conference, and she was like, I'm looking at my phone and getting 100 texts, and really sort of like, she said, it's the guns.
Right. She said some things that maybe some politicians should have said, but instead they chose to comment on the matter later if they were Chuck Schumer.
Uh-huh. Right. After he congratulated the Bills on winning their football game.
Yeah. The important stuff first, of course. Yeah. That's new. It's not business as usual, like a school shooting.
Yeah.
But so that was exciting in that we crossed paths with a viral sensation.
We did. Sorry, earlier
Let's make the shooting about us.
Oh, God.
But in any case, it's been a while since we've come to you.
Yes.
And in that while, they finally voted to release the Epstein files.
Right.
We got there.
And they're coming this week. They're required to come out by Friday.
Now, are they being heavily redacted?
Bill. Well, that's what I think. Didn't it give like the DOJ or whatever harebrained person runs the DOJ like personal like ability to redact
the entire Epstein files? So it's unclear what shape the files will be in when they come to us.
Yeah.
There was notably only one no vote, though, on the House side to releasing those files from Clay Higgins of Louisiana, who voted no because, quote, the files could inadvertently entangle innocent people if they're released.
Well, sure. All those innocent child sex traffickers.
A lot of innocent people involved in the child sex trafficking game.
Oh, God.
Real concerns there.
These people and their
Although
mental gymnastics.
he's a guy, he's got theories, you know?
Sure.
He blamed communists for COVID, and he thought that, like, ghost buses had brought people to January 6th, and, you know, he's got ideas.
The Ghostbusters brought them to January 6th?
The ghost buses.
Oh, ghost buses.
Now, that's not a real thing. That's why you misheard me.
I know. No, I actually knew what you said.
But yeah, if you are wondering why we go to war on Friday.
Yes, I know. Everybody has been making that joke on the internet, which I absolutely love, because we're already like inching toward it with Venezuela. So it's like,
and we don't
Friday,
know why. Nobody knows why.
No, we've been shooting people in boats, and then we stole an oil tanker, I think, recently, and like, yeah, sure.
This to cause trouble, just to have some trouble to use to weaponize for a matter like this.
Yeah.
I mean, in a true sense, literally just to cover up for local.
CYA, to cover your ass.
Exactly.
War.
It's a cover your ass war. And they picked Venezuela because that's an easy target, because conservative media has already been relentlessly hammering Venezuela for years. And so everyone's like, yeah, that's probably trouble over there. And, you know, here we are. Yep. I mean, it's funny, though, because I actually don't know how it's landing in conservative media at the moment. It obviously is landing as a confusing turn of events in every other media. I
think it's landing pretty well, just because, like, if conservatives have ever in their lives wanted to do regime change, I mean, they always want to do regime change.
Yeah, that's their
but whatever.
Main
But I mean,
agenda.
like, they'd love to be doing it in Venezuela because,
well, of course,
you know.
But haven't they tried? We're deep into the, you know, barrel of multiple regime change and destabilization attempts in Venezuela.
Sure.
We're past the point where Venezuela is some sort of socialist boogeyman.
Yes. So, nobody more excited about this, by the way, than the woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Thank God we got. I mean, if we couldn't have Donald Trump, luckily he won the FIFA Peace Prize.
No, literally, no. Yes, luckily, yes, exactly. He won the FIFA Peace Prize. Yeah. Oh God. And nobody ever been more excited to put on a medal on themselves, by the way, which is not how medals are put on people.
Also, though, this, I think, is a path forward that we've actually been advocating for quite a while, which is you can inception Donald Trump into anything by congratulating him for it.
Tim Apple did this.
Yes.
Remember, gave him like some sort of gold thing that he set up in on his desk for.
Yes.
I mean, like,
he loves to get a statue. He loves to get an award. He wants a medal.
Yes, just give him a prize.
And if you give him a prize for something you want, he might be more amenable to doing it.
Yes.
Give him a prize for excellence in Medicare for all or something.
Simpleton.
Exactly.
I mean, like,
this is easy stuff, you guys.
Yeah.
People are overthinking this all the time. FIFA, I feel like, I know that this was pandery and stupid, and I recognize why we're against doing this to, you know, fascist leaders, but also...
Right. Well, and FIFA is like a known, like, terrible organization.
Yes, they're awful.
So, like, yeah.
So they were doing something awful, but I think they taught us a lesson that we could take forward to use for better aims.
Democrats are always wanting to enter into good faith negotiations with him, and it's like, don't do that. Like,
give him an award for doing the thing.
Piece of gold or something. Like,
give him an award for doing what you have come there to do.
Yes.
And pretend like he already did it, and then you can just do it. This is simple stuff.
Yeah.
But both Democrats and Republicans can't seem to figure out how to make that work, because Republicans are retiring in droves right now. So they also don't seem to understand this system.
No.
Notably Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
Who we've maybe mentioned on the podcast, maybe not. I can't remember.
We didn't check our
but
last
she's
notes,
been,
and it's been a month. So,
no, we don't know what's going on. But she certainly has been spiraling out dramatically for a while, as you know.
Yeah.
But apparently there are something like 18 members total as of today who have confirmed that they're going to be retiring, and there's rumored more at the end of this year.
It would very easily make Democrats the majority in the House.
Yeah, because obviously many more Republicans are talking about retiring. B, we have midterms coming up, and that traditionally is a strong showing for the opposition party anyway. But you know, this 20 doesn't even include people who are like dropping out to run for other seats. Like, this is just people who are like, I'm sick of this bullshit.
I don't want to work here anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think there's reason. Listen, could every state party in America fumble this? Yes. Yep. I know for sure that the New York State Democrats are working on that.
That's what they do.
That's what they do. I have to imagine that the California Democrats are looking for an opportunity to fuck this up.
For sure.
I mean, they've never missed one before. So, you know, there's reason to get involved right now in your local primary scene. But there are a lot of open seats right now. And because of that, a lot of primaries. And you know what primaries are good for is getting shitty Democrats out of the running for seats.
That's right.
So it is actually a great time to start paying attention to who's declaring in your district and who might want to, because they have a few months to still declare. And like, you know, why not go and try to find someone good to declare? You've got bad people declaring, I would guarantee.
Sure.
You know, give it a try. But yeah, the rumors of retirements on the Republican side are starting to swirl more dramatically with each passing day. I think
for sure.
As soon as we are out of the actual political news cycle, like home for the holidays, I think we're about to hear that everyone and their mother is leaving town.
I think you're right. They're just waiting to
get out of that news, make sure no one finds out.
Right. And they're just waiting to make sure that nobody has a healthcare plan.
That's right.
When they go home. And then to retire immediately so they don't have to be responsible for that.
Yeah. I feel like this might be the reason so many of them are retiring, because they
don't want to speak to their constituents.
Certainly not.
After Christmas.
You're not going to want to go to a town hall in any district in America after Christmas January, when everyone finds out that their health insurance is now $800 a month and covers nothing. Yes. But luckily, Republicans released a health plan.
It's even more ridiculous than... Well, first off, let's do what we do best on this podcast, or at least do what I do best on this podcast, which is talk about how shitty the Democrats are.
Yes, go for it.
Because we obviously, you know, we can revisit, you know, the good old government shutdown and how ragey we were about how they just finally, ultimately, in the end, gave up. Because they got Republicans to say that they would vote on the ACA subsidies. Right. And the Republicans actually did follow through, which maybe
first time that's ever happened, yeah.
But the reason that they followed through is because they knew that it wasn't going to pass. Yeah. So they had the vote and it didn't pass, and then everybody moved on with their lives.
So we did that whole shutdown for nothing.
That's what we did the government shutdown for, by the way.
That's right. Your holiday travel plans were impacted by this strategy.
Yeah.
That shut down the government and forced government workers to go without pay for like a month.
Right.
So that they could achieve actually nothing.
Literally
nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Yeah. With
they had all the power in the world
That's right.
to actually get these Republicans to vote on the ACA subsidies, which, by the way, we're going to talk about in a second. Seems like they may have done.
Yeah, well,
if they were getting blamed, I really believe that if we had held the course on that front, the Republicans would have passed the ACA subsidies.
Well, the thing is, it's in their interest.
100%.
This is like a John McCain stopping the Obamacare repeal moment, where somebody just had to stand up and do it and take it for the team. And now that so many people are retiring, you know, somebody can do it. A lot of people can do it. 7 people can do it. But like, this is a moment where take down one of your own to protect all of your asses, because allowing healthcare costs to spiral out the way they're about to is going to be like a mutiny.
And it's going to be a death knell for them.
Yeah.
In the midterms.
And it's not even good for the existing Democrats, because it's going to be a death knell for a lot of them as well, because they're so fucking ineffective.
Totally.
Like, you're going to see people getting primaried from farther and farther left because of this specific thing that is bad already. They could have just voted to keep it bad the way that it was. It's still too expensive to have healthcare. The subsidies don't do enough.
No.
The cost of the way these plans are structured, even with the subsidy, and even with the fact that, you know, you're maybe paying slightly less than the bazillion dollars a month that your premiums cost, you're still looking at out-of-pocket maxes that are something like $25,000. So, like, this is silliness to begin with. They could have kept the silliness we know, and instead they chose to make it sillier in an effort to, I don't know, like, appeal to an industry that is doing them no favors at the moment. I'm not really sure who this is for anymore, because there is no constituency for this. This is like the most basic way that they could make it look like Republicans could have, and they're trying to think of how to do that, but they could have come up with a sneaky way of expanding them in a useless way that sounded really helpful.
Right.
And instead, they're going to go down getting blamed for this.
I know.
Along with the Democrats? It's crazy.
And they know, I'm going to skip around here.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I think that, you know, we're sort of talking about why I think it is that they would have ended up passing them had Democrats stayed the course on the shutdown. And the reason that I say that is because they really only have through Friday to, like, actually pass anything. The easiest route would be to extend the subsidies, right? They've got a cockamamie plan. We'll talk about that in a second. And that wouldn't even bring down costs anyway. And some of it doesn't kick in until 2027, which is so
it's after midterms.
So the people who are out there in the streets right now on today, as we record this is news that's happening on Monday, the 14th or 15th, whatever the hell the date is.
It's the 15th.
The people who are most urgently trying to get the ACA subsidies passed right now are House moderate Republicans.
Of course. They have the most to lose of anyone here.
They are working with the Democrats right now to try and get this passed, and House leadership is even willing to let them vote on it, but they hilariously said that they have to have the cuts. They have to have matching cuts.
Mm-hmm. They love a matching cut.
Exactly.
This is a made-up problem that is made up by them.
Right. They didn't have to have matching cuts for the $900 billion
defense spending bill that they just passed.
No,
of course not.
I digress.
That's for war.
But, you know, and of course, part of the GOP plan is that they're going to have new eligibility requirements, which I assume is like some attempt to say that like illegal immigrants can't get health insurance, which obviously they're not anyway.
No. Well, and also, that is like, those talking points are especially dumb because they are actually like, the logic of that is what makes the system so expensive in the first place. Yeah. Because health insurance, as I say every time on this fucking podcast, is pooled risk. You want everyone to have it. It's cheaper for everyone when everyone has it.
Yep.
When people don't have it, they go to ERs and they don't pay their bills. And guess who pays their bills? Taxpayers.
Yep.
So you're actually just paying for emergency care for all of these undocumented people who you don't want to give health insurance to.
Yes.
Because they can't access any other level of care and they have no choice but to wait to go to the ER until they're dying.
Right.
And then who's paying that bill? It's still going to be you because where are they getting $65,000 to pay for it? You know,
totally.
It's a cockamamie system. Yeah. And what frustrates me the most is that Congress, and we're going to talk about this again when we talk about their stupid plan, doesn't seem to understand how healthcare costs are actually paid in this country. All of these talking points have no relation to the reality of how the healthcare system actually functions on an economic level.
Yeah.
It's like with modern monetary theory where it's like, oh, wait, once you discover how the monetary system works, a lot of the talking points about cuts and blah, blah, blah end up being kind of irrelevant. Like, this is sort of similar where a lot of the things that they talk about needing to cut in the healthcare system to prevent waste and fraud and whatever, these are all things that bear no resemblance to, like, where the actual waste and fraud is happening and why and who's actually paying for what and where taxpayers are actually paying a lot of money and where they aren't.
But dealing with all of those things would be hard.
I know, it's so hard it's hard to do hard stuff.
But yeah, I just thought it was very telling that it was like moderate GOP reps that were the ones that they're in a panic about trying to pass the ACA subsidies right now.
Yeah, well, they have to.
Yes.
They are going to lose their seats.
Right. Yeah.
They are the ones.
I just feel like knowing that now, today, in December,
makes you wonder.
Is proof to me that if we just would have held out for, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, like back when the government was shut down, that you probably could have, because the polling at that time was that it was the Republicans' fault.
Yeah.
I think that they would have eventually caved, and Democrats could have got a big win, but why have a win when you can have a loss?
No, exactly.
You know, I mean,
snatching defeat from the jaws of victory since
anyway, we should talk about their stupid plan that they're working on right now that may pass, but might bring down your healthcare costs like, I don't know, like 74 cents for the entire 12 months next year. I mean, it's not going to do anything.
No. And keeping in mind that your healthcare costs have already gone up. So it's going to not bring them down to where they were even last year when they were also too expensive.
No. So one of the things is that they're going to allow more small businesses and self-employed people to be a part of association plans. And that's where like small companies can sort of like pool together. And then in theory, they as a larger group can then sort of like be treated as like a larger like company or corporation and like get costs down.
That's what the freelancers union was essentially offering to people. Sure. I think that was only in New York State when they were doing that. Sure. But like and listen, the logic of that is sound in the sense that, as I've said already once today and many times before, a system of pooled risk works better the bigger the pool.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I feel like all of these things, like, you know...
That's what the exchange is.
Well, that's what the exchange is. But also, like, you know, you and I were talking about this before we started. And I was like, if the Democrats wanted to add any of these things to their own healthcare plan, that's fine. I don't have a problem with this.
No. Well, it's
probably a good idea.
It's what the exchanges were supposed to be in the first place.
Well, right.
This is what the marketplace that you're buying healthcare on is supposed to be.
Right.
So what are we even... They're just talking about a dumber version of the thing that they watered down in the first place.
Yes, and that is not going to bring your healthcare costs down in a notable fashion.
No, because the bigger pool is still going to be on the exchange.
Right.
And if it's too expensive on the exchange, what the fuck is this going to do for you?
Yeah, exactly.
Because this is not also going to allow more small businesses and self-employed people to have subsidized healthcare costs.
No.
It's just a group negotiation tactic, which, like, the reason you think that employer-based healthcare is cheaper is because your employer pays part of the premium.
Right.
If your employer is not paying part of the premium and you're just in the consortium, then you're looking at premium costs that maybe they're $450 instead of $550 a month. Like, they're a little bit cheaper, and sure, you want that, but that isn't solving the significant portion of the problem, which is that no one can afford the $450 either.
Yes.
Anyway, continue.
Then there's another thing in here where they claim that they're going to lower prescription drug costs by being stricter with PBMs, who are pharmacy benefit managers. And they are third-party companies that manage prescription drug benefits for health plans.
You may know them under, like, Express Scripts is one of these. Like, there are all, when you get a health plan and you end up with, like, a special pharmacy card.
Yep.
That's your PBM, your pharmacy benefits manager. And they're annoying. Of course.
Right.
And they also become like a third party where you have to like negotiate with them to get prior authorizations from other people to get a thing. Like they're the ones coming up with all these cockamamie plans to stop you from having drugs.
Right.
That being said, they're not pharmaceutical companies.
No, they are not the people who are like, are they marking up the drugs more than they should be? Probably. But like, if
in the same way your health insurance is negotiating healthcare costs, so like what they're doing is negotiating prescription 100%. Drug costs. So
and if they're marking it up, 5% more than they should be, then like, we should deal with that 5% or whatever. But that's making your, $900 a month drug, $897.
Well, also,
or would if you dealt with this. It would like
their existence is the problem. It's not the practice of having a middleman that is deciding which prescription drugs will and won't be covered under your plan is the problem. It's not that they themselves are more problematic than the system as a whole. Like cutting them out doesn't achieve what we need to achieve, which is cutting the cost of drugs in a bigger way where there are federal subsidies for things. And you are under a plan where the drug that your doctor prescribes is what can be covered at a cost that you can afford.
Right.
You're not going to get socialism out of this, sadly, but you're not even going to get capitalism out of it. You're still going to get nothing.
I know. Yeah. And then lastly, sort of, I mean, like, there's really not much in here. It's a pretty short bill. Is that there's like mention of some cost sharing reductions. These are the one that would take effect in 2027. And there's not really much detail about what they are.
No. Well, and cost sharing in health plans is a way that your health plan can basically like pretend they cover stuff that they don't actually. So like if it maybe they'll do some things like they'll be like, oh, if you have like cost sharing on, for a procedure where you're responsible for 40%, maybe they can cap it at 35 or like that kind of thing. That doesn't affect the overall cost of the procedure itself in a world where you haven't met your deductible, for example. Like these are like not helpful things. And there's one other thing that that's getting discussed, which I think is a perfect example of how little these people understand about what does and doesn't like make a meaningful effect on your ability to pay for your health insurance bills, which is that they're talking about giving people HSA money.
Right.
But
hold on, because I want you to explain this.
Yes,
and
go
I
for
know
it.
that you will. But I want to say that like the House isn't even talking about that. Mm-hmm. The Senate, it was in one of the Senate bills, which did not pass because the Senate voted like on a few various different amendments, and like that didn't pass. But again, that was mostly because Democrats were voting no on it, which I am here for because they're voting no on anything that's not an expansion of the ACA. So I get it. But like the fact that the House bill didn't even have sending people direct money when Trump himself has claimed to television cameras that he thinks that's the solution to healthcare, which again, you're about to explain why it's obviously not. But it's odd to me that that didn't even find its way. Like this House bill
it's a political solution to healthcare.
Right, exactly. But like wouldn't members of the House be looking for that?
Yes.
I mean, like
you would think
it's just like that's why I'm like this House bill is like such a nothing.
Yeah.
That like it's almost like that's why I bring it up that it's not in the House bill because I'm almost flabbergasted at the fact that like this is what they came up with. It's so like nibbling at the edges. Like to call it nibbling is giving it more credit.
To not even include something that can be a flashy item like we're giving you free money.
We're giving you $1,500.
We're giving you tax-free $1,500. Like the reason Trump is in favor of this is because the last time he gave everyone money, everyone loved it.
That's right.
And that is correct. People love it. When the only time they don't love it is when you offer them $2,000 and then only send them $1,400.
Right.
A thing
Biden.
that Joe Biden's never going to live down in my heart. But here, like, I think that this is also a perfect example of like how wildly out of touch with the reality of healthcare costs members of the Senate and Congress are, because a $1,500 HSA check sounds great in the sense that I would love a tax-free $1,500. And I would be happy. I spend more than that on healthcare out of pocket every year, and so that would be great.
Well, everyone
except for
does.
That everyone does, and it's an insufficient amount of money to cover any of the actual costs that people are, accumulating.
And that amount of money is not even going to cover the difference between what they paid last year and the difference that they paid this year, which is what's insane about it. The $1,500.
That's my point. Is like these sums that they're suggesting. These are people who don't know how much it's costing you to have healthcare, and they're not listening.
Not a clue.
Because the difference between, you're seeing lots of stories right now of people who are like seeing jumps in their premium costs
like
that are
700%,
hundreds of dollars. Yeah. And a $1,500 HSA thing, which by the way, you don't use towards premiums, you use towards out-of-pocket healthcare costs anyway, is great if you have no premium costs and you are miraculously healthy for the entire year. But nobody is miraculously healthy for the entire year forever.
No.
But this is like an amount of money that is just like not in touch with what like
well, it's just an amount of money that they made up willy-nilly.
Well, my health plan retails, I'm on an exchange plan. It retails for over $600 a month. It covers almost nothing. Mm-hmm. The copays are like $100 per doctor's visit. But then on top of that, there is an out-of-pocket maximum in-network that is $10,000, and my out-of-pocket out-of-network maximum is $25,000. Yep. What is $1,500 doing when I break my arm? Like, fucking off. Yeah. Like, it is just, that is not like a sufficient sum of money, and I think that the only reason that it enrages me, because I actually think it is smart politics if you're going to have a horrible system like this to give everyone HSA money. Like, I don't think it's a smart policy point. I think it's dumb because it just inflates the cost of healthcare further and achieves nothing for anyone. But I think it's smart politics in the way that I think direct payments are smart politics. Like, I think Donald Trump is right that people like it when you give them free money. And if you get credit for giving them that free money, they will remember that over the time that you took everything else away from them that made that free money, irrelevant, impossible to, or, a loss for them in the end. But so I don't even think this is bad politics. I understand why the Senate put this in, and I don't know why the House wouldn't.
Right.
But I also feel like it is a perfect example of how much they don't know about what an economic crisis their constituents are facing right now. Yeah. And that is why I think, these moderate Republicans probably started to get some phone calls when these new premium rates came out. And we're suddenly like, oh, wait a minute, we could lose our seats over this. Right. This is bad enough and widespread enough that we could lose our seats over this. And that, I think that they have not been thinking in terms of losing seats because there hasn't been like a tangible, everything is so crazy. There hasn't been like a tangible thing where they can be like, oh, I'm in the business of serving these constituents and they are mad at me.
Right.
Like everything is so divided and weird and their own constituents are watching news that doesn't report anything. And, it's like, everything is so crazy. But like, this is like a perfect issue for them to get totally, slaughtered on.
Yeah.
And the reason that they are being caught off guard at the end of the year by this and had to be dragged through that shutdown and thought they could get away with not doing it is because they don't actually know how much it costs.
No.
They don't have any idea.
Yeah.
I'm always shocked by people who work on the Hill because they they hear from so many angry constituents, they will often get very defensive about, no, we pay for healthcare too. Staffers on the Hill will be like, no, you don't understand. We pay for healthcare too. And the amounts that they're talking about paying are so different than the amounts that people in the real world are paying for their healthcare premiums, and what they're getting in return is so different. And even though it is my feeling that no public employee should be paying a healthcare premium. So like, I'm not here to say, when people try that talking point with me, I'm always like, don't try to convince me that you are paying for healthcare. Tell me why you're paying for, I don't want to hear that you're paying for healthcare, but like nobody in Washington seems to have even an iota of a clue of how expensive it is to actually buy healthcare in this country. And so the solutions that they think will sound sufficient to people are laughable.
Yeah.
This is silliness.
Yeah, I know.
And it'll work only for people under the age of 25, basically.
Yeah.
And that's not enough people. Those people don't vote. They're always complaining about that.
I know.
They're always telling me young people don't vote. And it's like, well, then don't have your health plan only appeal to healthy people under the age of 25.
Right. And it's also just like, it's so crazy. Going back to our previous point where I think you even sort of like made this joke when we were talking about giving him a prize and you were like, give him the Medicare for All prize. Like the fact that he so like deeply understands that people love free shit.
Yes.
If there
is not one socialist program you couldn't sell to him on that base. Or could at least try.
I was going to say, like, and this is part of the problem with having the opposition party that we have, which is so fucking feckless and doesn't stand for dick.
Well, and it's owned by billionaires too, so there's like no...
Right, exactly. But like, if somebody just went in there and was like, let me tell you how much everybody would love if they had free healthcare. You call it Trump care.
Call it Trump care, and tell them that Vladimir Putin gives it to people. Viktor Orban gives it to people.
Totally.
Talk about the glories of his fascist friends and how they're giving everyone healthcare, because all of his authoritarian heroes have public healthcare systems in their country.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of basis to sell this to him on.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be Sweden has it.
No.
Don't talk about Sweden. Talk about Hungary. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, it's crazy that no one has tried this.
I know.
And that there has not been, I mean, like, maybe
well,
someone has...
none of the Democrats want it.
I was going to say...
Even the ones that say they do.
Like, someone should make a sustained effort to be in his ear about this.
Yeah.
Because I actually don't care if it's Republicans that bring us Medicare for all.
Yeah.
I don't care who does it.
I don't either.
I just want it done.
Right.
I only care about stuff being done.
Right. Yeah. Well...
It's like how we always say, Michael Bloomberg stopped smoking in New York City restaurants. I hate that man, but he changed my life, you know? And I'm willing to give him credit for that one thing.
Sure.
And I still think he's an asshole. I wouldn't vote for him again.
Right.
But I was supportive of that policy because it changed my life. And you're allowed to think that about people if you need to.
Yes.
And if Donald
Trump... We
Trump...
always say on this podcast, let anybody have a good idea.
Let anybody have a good idea. And give anybody a good idea that could want one.
Right.
Don't police who you give your good ideas
Trump's
to.
getting so few good ideas, both from his own brain
That's right.
and from everyone around him, that, like, to give him one as good as this, I feel like he could be moved.
That's right. Imagine not hearing a single good idea from any source for years, and then someone coming to you with a good, brilliant idea.
I was talking to some friends of this about this like a while back, and I was talking about this was sort of like when Marjorie Taylor Greene was having her sort of like revelations on healthcare, and she still hasn't sort of like gotten fully to the bottom of it.
No,
and I said what we have been saying on this podcast for a while, and I was like, I feel like Republicans are going to beat us to Medicare for all.
Yeah.
Just because they're going to sort of like understand and sort
they're going to back end their way into it.
To it or whatever. And like the people that I was talking to, and they were like, well, wouldn't that just be sort of like a form of nationalism? And I was like, sure.
Okay, right. You call it that? That's fine. Is it free healthcare for everyone?
Like, well, what, you know?
Right.
Somebody else, some Christian nationalist is going to be like, well, it's Christian that everybody be
Perfect.
healthy.
Then I guess we're all Christian now. Like, I feel like we were talking about this right when Trump took office too, about framing some of these progressive priorities that Democrats are just not moving on as Republican ideas, to sort of see if there is a sort of language of bipartisanship that could be created where just the idea has a Republican counterpoint that makes sense to Republicans, that makes it sound like a conservative idea. Because a lot of these things could be conservative ideas too. You know, it's cheaper for business, certainly, to have a Medicare for all system.
Yep.
You know, it's like it's a corporate giveaway. Call it that. Like, there's a million ways in which you can frame all of these ideas as something that Republicans would like, but you would have to try to think of them. Mm-hmm. And also you would have to have ideas as a person. Right. And you would have to be supporting those ideas or promoting those ideas.
We're not in the business.
And nobody is doing any of that.
Yeah.
And so we're not coming up with any part of that plan.
Right.
But like, if we could inception the Trump administration to be the most effective administration in U.S. history, then like, I feel like we have nothing better to do but try. Currently, they're a nightmare.
Right.
Let's walk them back from some of their worst ideas and see if they can try some good ones.
Yep.
And then maybe at least it will be a mixed bag at that point. Right now, it's only bad.
Yeah.
Like, let's try for a mixed bag.
Yep.
But, you know, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
You would have to have an opposition party that wanted good ideas, too. And currently, we have no one who has any good ideas. So
it's unfortunate.
It's like the memes with where you just add a rainbow flag to any.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
I've already forgotten what even the slogan was. That joke can't land because I don't remember the beginning of it. What are you going to do? Let's talk about Mamdani.
Let's.
So, we're getting some more insight into his transition into formal politician.
Right.
And we knew that there would be some bumps along the way, because there always are. And a couple of the bumps have happened. So here we are.
They sure have. Some of them I'm going to maybe give him a pass on.
That's right.
And then one specifically, I feel like I'm not going to give him a pass on.
And I think
so
that's
let's
fair.
do both of them.
Yeah. The one that I'm at least interested in giving him a pass on, which we were talking about a little bit yesterday, is he chose to keep on Jessica Tisch, the police commissioner that was appointed by Eric Adams.
Yes.
A relationship with the police has been like a big sticking point in the past for Democrats taking office. They really like took down de Blasio and took down Dinkins, and the sort of lack of discipline inside of the police ranks has traditionally been a big quagmire, especially for like progressive mayors or mayors who are sort of coming in, you know, like Dinkins, the sort of racist police response was partly what Giuliani exploited in order to take that seat ultimately. He led a racist police riot as his campaign announcement, essentially.
Sounds
right. So the police department is a little bit tricky in New York City. And as much as they obviously need some reforms,
Sure.
I think it's worth noting that Jessica Tisch seems, she has the credibility of having been appointed by an ex-cop, even though he's a complete dum-dum.
Sure.
And I think that she has sort of had a bit of a stabilizing influence there in a way that I think this is something to address at some point, but to upset the apple cart of the police situation on your way into office as this young upstart democratic socialist mayor is, I would contend, unwise in New York City, given how destructive the police rebellions of yore have been to mayors' ability to get anything done early on. So for this, I would say I wish things were different, but I also understand wanting to be careful with the police in particular on your way into office, like tiptoeing your way into office so as to not fully sort of like cause police backlash is kind of an important way for him to maintain some stability as he takes office, because there are going to be a lot of forces within the city government that are going to try to upend what's going on. And that is one that's very precarious always.
Sure. And I do think that is probably what he's doing.
I think that's what he's doing. And Jessica Tisch, by the way, was a de Blasio appointee originally.
Sure. It's interesting. The only thing that I know about Jessica Tisch, interestingly, there was the meeting with Mamdani and Trump at the White House, right? Mm-hmm. And there were all of those reports where it's just sort of like, oh, Mamdani obviously played him because, like, by the end of it, he was just sort of like, ready to do communism in New York City.
Which is a perfect example, by the way, of why you should give Trump some good ideas every once in a while. Anyway, continue.
But what I feel like a lot of people didn't see, just because it wasn't clipped out, but I watched most of that sort of like at least joint presser when they were both in the White House. The reason that he was saying how much he loved Mamdani was quite specifically because he had just heard earlier that day that he had retained Jessica Tisch.
Yeah.
And he sort of went on a long rant about how great Jessica Tisch was, talked about how much Ivanka loved her, really just like could not have, like, the reason that he was glowing about Mamdani in the first place was because he retained Jessica Tisch.
Yeah.
So I obviously don't have a nuanced take on her because I'm not following who the police commissioner is. So, like, I trust your point on this, but that gave me pause.
Of course. But that's like of the ways in which you can sort of like come in, and of course, because of the way city politics works there, the entire plan is going to be to create a crazy backlash from the right and left on him, obviously.
Yeah.
So like this is part of creating that chaos anyway, but I would contend that the most important agency to keep some continuity with, just enough so that you don't end up not being able to achieve literally anything you promised, is the NYPD. And
and I think that, like, he didn't really run on any sort of policing reforms.
No.
I mean, he talked a lot about wanting to, make sure that there were like community,
there has been a bit of a return to community policing of late that actually hasn't been the worst. There are some things that have happened that also have been the worst. It's always a mixed bag. There's never policing reforms are never all good.
Yeah.
But I think that the sort of the instinct to tread carefully there, at a time right now where I don't think there are sort of like big picture issues with the police, but the actual community relationships to police has been wound back a bit from the Bloomberg and Giuliani era. And I think that continuity from the de Blasio era was important to maintain. And actually Eric Adams did a medium, better than expected job at that, I would contend. Only my expectations were really low, so that sense. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like I can understand why he wants to create some sort of stasis there right now, given that we're not in the era of Giuliani era policing, and see how he can reform from there, as opposed to coming in hard on that would have, I think, been received really poorly by some of the sectors of the city that are most likely to stymie everything else he tries to do.
I think what's happening is that he ran a great campaign that focused almost exclusively on affordability.
Yeah.
That has now become a buzzword for all Democrats, even the ones who have no intention of doing anything about affordability, by the way. You're going to see that, by the way. I think this is I want to issue a warning about what's going to happen in the midterms. Because, and they'll never tell you it's because they took this lesson from Mamdani, because they would never admit to such a thing. They hate him.
They hate socialism.
Terrible. They hate socialism. But you are going to see every Democrat running throughout all 435 House districts.
That's right.
Talking about affordability. And 434 of them aren't going to have one plan that is going to effectively bring down the cost of shit.
That's right.
And I think it's important for our ears to be perked for people who are just going to go out and say, well, you know, things are too expensive right now. I mean, literally, this is what Donald Trump did, and obviously didn't fix it at all. So, like, maybe people will be paying a little bit more attention to what people say that they're going to do to actually fix the things. But, like, I think that, like, knowing that his first term in office is going to immediately be looked at for the promise of whether he can do some of the specific things that he said that he was going to do to bring costs down. The entire country is looking for that right now. It's important for him. It's important for the New York City DSA. It's important for DSA at large. Like, it's important for...
Like, it's important for Democrats in New York City broadly.
So I think that he is willing to deal with the police doing whatever it is that the police are doing. I think he's willing to deal with Hakeem Jeffries, which is what we're going to talk about next. And that's the thing that has actually annoyed me the most. Not specifically that he, you know... well, we'll talk about it in a second. But, like, you know, I think that he sort of is like he's willing to do whatever he has to do to be able to do a rent freeze. And if it means not having the police mad at him for X, Y, or Z, and not having Kathy Hochul mad at him for X, Y, and Z, and not having Hakeem Jeffries mad at him for X, Y, and Z, he is willing to, I think he's willing to make a deal with the devil to bring down some costs for people. And I'm might be okay with it.
I'm here for it, to be honest, because I feel like the one thing that was notable about his campaign was when you asked people why they were voting for him, they had specific answers with specific policies that they wanted to see, many of which didn't affect them directly. Right. Homeowners were telling you that they liked the rent freeze idea.
To your point, most of them didn't have anything to do with the police.
No. But, like, if you asked Cuomo voters why they were voting for him, they would tell you to fuck off. If you asked Mamdani voters why they were voting for him, they would mention the rent freeze even if they owned. They had specific things that they could say. And the one thing I'll say about de Blasio, who got trashed by the police and by the media class, you know, for not playing this game very well, he promised us universal pre-K and he got it. Did it, yeah. And so when someone asks, well, what did he ever do? You can answer him. Right. There's an answer that's specific that is what he promised. And people know that. And it's why he got reelected when he did, even though it sounded like no one supported him anywhere in the city. And, you know, his downfall was his inability to sort of make these choices very effectively. He was not good at playing the political game. He was not good at sort of figuring out how to stay focused on a goal and not sort of like create crisis everywhere else. He's a late person. And, you know, that's for California. You can't be doing that in New York City. But in any case, I think it is really important in order to have the ability to articulate that Democrats and specifically DSA members can be effective at governance for Mamdani to be able to be like, I ran on these things and I specifically said I would do these things. And that's why I don't think getting mired in with the police right now, I think he will have the power to affect some policy changes there that have to do with the tone of the policing and affect the priorities of the police in ways that will end up being significant. He's not powerless just because he kept Jessica Tisch, you know, in terms of the policing situation. Yeah. But I think not making that the sort of first focus of a backlash is probably smart given that he wants to focus elsewhere. Right. And I don't think he can I don't think he's going to be given the chance to do both. So, you know, he needs to win some goodwill before he can start doing these other things. Totally. That being said, don't ever fucking endorse Hakeem Jeffries anywhere in your life.
Yeah, and this was, and it wasn't even actually that he endorsed his race. For me, it was the specific question that was the follow-up question was, do you think Hakeem Jeffries should be the Speaker of the House? And his answer was yes. Yeah. Like, I was sort of annoyed with him that he endorsed Jeffries. I was super annoyed with him that he quite literally took himself, the mayor-elect of New York City, to the local DSA meeting to talk those people out of endorsing Chiosei, who is a DSA member.
And who also was a huge part of his campaign and is a rising star in New York City politics.
Yes. To talk him out of running against Hakeem Jeffries. Like, all of that shit made me mad. Yeah. But, like, even at that point, I was like, He's got a plan. DSA is going to have a whole slate of people. They are probably trying to spend their political capital wherever they can. Maybe they thought that they could not win that Jeffries race.
Right.
Who knows? I was allowing for all of those things more so than I would probably allow for a regular Democrat to do something like that.
You should allow for more things for him than
but like
a regular
to
Democrat.
Be in front of a television camera and have someone say, should Hakeem Jeffries be the Speaker of the House, and for him to gladly say yes, that's not
chaos choice.
That's not what we're doing here. That's not what DSA people should be doing.
No.
It's not what and truth be told, it's things like that that have made me no longer a dues-paying member of the DSA.
Yeah.
If we're being honest.
Yeah, well,
because I feel like they too often don't stand for much, in my opinion. Yeah. And like this is to me an unacceptable answer to Hakeem Jeffries and whether he should be the Speaker of the House or not.
I agree. I'm also hoping that some of this I'm hoping some of this is a learning experience, because some of this is a little bit like, well, now what? We caught the, we caught the tail, or whatever whatever the metaphor is. I'm not doing well with my metaphors today, you guys. But like we sort of got the thing, and now how do we effectively wield power?
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure that a lot of threats get made from the from the Jeffries camp. I'm sure
Jeffries did, and very half-heartedly, but did endorse.
Right.
He was really one of the only national New York.
Part,
Schumer didn't endorse.
No, exactly. I'm sure that was part of the deal.
I'm sure it was.
I sort of see that he's been kind of put in a, this whole, it's all unsavory options in this situation. And the team Jeffries doesn't play fair. And New York City politics is cruel and unusual and doesn't play fair either. And so this is what it is to be involved in New York City politics. It's a bunch of mean people who are trying to sort of like sneak attack you from every side. So I feel like we are both right to and meant to criticize him for this.
Yeah.
It is meant to create some dissension. And I feel like DSA itself should take that note. I understand how he ended up not taking that note, but I don't want DSA to sort of move forward with that as their standard.
Yeah.
And I feel like that maybe we have an opportunity to do something about, whereas I also see, we've made this complaint about AOC playing ball with Pelosi. This is part of what happens when you get pulled in with these folks.
Yes.
Is that you end up in unsavory alliances with idiots. And Hakeem Jeffries has a lot of money at his, at his beck and call.
Yeah.
And also sort of is probably able to call off some important attack dogs himself, because he's deeply aligned with like AIPAC and like a bunch of like unsavory folks who were pummeling Mamdani with attack ads during that race. Yeah. So I see what happened here. That being said, part of the process is that we also say something.
Right. Well, but also it's just sort of like it's also just like the answer to the question, should Hakeem Jeffries be the Speaker of the House? Well, or literally just like, also, I think part of my issue with this too is just
like the answer is no.
Is no, but it's also just sort of like do better politics too, because I want to be like, well, hopefully the Democrats will take back the House in the fall.
Right.
And then, at that point, like
that's
they'll be able to decide as a caucus whether Hakeem Jeffries stays on as the Speaker.
This was a quid pro quo, though.
I'm sure it was.
This was a quid pro quo.
But I still said yes.
No, it's.
But I didn't say yes.
No, I know. That's he's gonna disappoint us at stuff like this. He's new.
Yeah, true.
I want us to do whatever we can to make sure he can be effective at the thing he needs to be effective at in order to make DSA candidates viable.
I agree.
And so I feel like the tendency of the left to sort of eat its tail on stuff like this instead of to voice a rightful concern and then also figure out how we could address it differently next time is like important for us to keep in mind here, just because I feel like this is like a really big opportunity for DSA, and they are going to fuck a lot of it up because they're just a bunch of goons from, wherever doing whatever. Like, but I'm really interested in DSA being able to effectively run a campaign like that in LA. I'm really interested in DSA being able to, and if that means they have to start making alliances with horrible Democrats just
to do the main thing that they claim
they claim that they're going to do, I see how that's going to happen. I don't like that, but I want to be realistic about it as well.
This is a proof of concept.
This is a proof of concept.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to follow him on the proof of concept. But I think part of the feedback mechanism is we're like, oh, that's a line too far for us.
Yes.
They're trying us here. They made a deal they shouldn't have made. And now he got stuck doing that deal. And it's like, okay, that's not what we do, though. Yeah. We have to have a line here.
That's not solidarity.
That's not solidarity, exactly. Meanwhile, the reason we need a DSA candidate, we have one in LA. Oh, yeah. Who is hopefully going to...
She's a pastor. How do you feel about that?
I know. I feel very uncomfortable about it. Her whole fucking thing was about how God called her to, like, her announcement post. I was like, oh, no. But, you know, our current mayor is out here just talking about how important it is to have a zillion policemen on the streets at all times. So I don't know what... Listen, to the extent that she can't even admit that it's her job to keep the streetlights on.
Listen, a thing has happened in the brain of Karen Bass. And...
Or has nothing been happening in the brain?
Well, nothing. But no, I think something has happened. And it's unfortunate what has happened. But, like, Karen Bass, the only issue that compels Karen Bass in a way... where she feels passionate about it, is to make sure that we have quite literally thousands and thousands more police officers than we currently have.
It's crazy.
She wants all the police officers, and in a spectacular fashion. I mean, if you told her tomorrow that she had $1 trillion free dollars to use on anything she wanted in the entire city of Los Angeles, she would be like, well, that could probably pay for, 150 million more police officers.
That's right.
It's wild to me. And the reason that, like, I got started on this was because...
Well, you listened to her
I was just happened to be in the car while she was on NPR last week, begging, pleading, apoplectic. I'm and she's not... That's not her jam.
No.
Really. I mean, like, she doesn't go and act passionately in the streets. Like, that's not what Karen Bass is up to. I think to her detriment, I don't think she's going to win re-election.
No, I don't either.
And I don't think she's going to lose the DSA candidate. I think she's probably going to lose to Rick Caruso.
But, agreed. And I'm going to be mad about that. That's lying on the table.
But, man, begging and pleading for millions more dollars to get, like, 700 more police into the police academy starting in January. And of course she was on NPR, which you might think is like good on these issues, but like there's literally a meme of NPR being like, oh, we're here to talk about the police budget with the head of the police and, 10 people who have been shot by violent criminals in the streets, but like that's what NPR is up to. So like they literally were framing this interview like, well, $4.5 million is pennies on the over the course of the entire city budget. But it's like, well, the city budget already has like 60% of the city budget is already going toward police, and it's to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars. Right. So like in the sense that yes, you're right that only $4 million is like pennies, but it's also like quite a bit more money than she has like already asked for all of the police. Right. And she's also doing
this doing anything?
Right. And she's also doing the thing that is like really annoying. She's talking about how we need way more police because we're having the World Cup and the Olympics, and like all of these no Olympics people, by the way, who I follow on Instagram, but obviously I'm still going to go to the Olympics.
Yeah, we love the Olympics. What are we going to do?
Immediately said, as soon as LA got the Olympics, they were like, well, be prepared for all of the cries for the police force to like fucking quadruple. Yeah. And here we are, enter Democrat, progressive, air quotes over here, Karen Bass. We got to have more police. And that, you're right, that interview was insane because it ended with a viewer call from someone who was like, I put in a ticket and all of my neighbors put in a ticket to fix our streetlights back in April. When are you fixing the streetlights? And I am not at all making this up. Go listen to it. It's on NPR's website. Her response was that we needed more police. Yeah. Because apparently people are breaking the streetlights because there's copper in them. And so they're like selling the copper. And so we needed more police to like arrest those criminals. We needed a task force to figure out who's buying the copper, what criminals are buying the copper. And like, listen, she may be right about that.
That's not how you answer that question as a politician, though.
But that question was quite literal. That question was about city services.
It was about constituent services and the very specific kinds of services that you as mayor are responsible for. Right. And the answer to that is not big picture that people are stealing copper wires. It's, oh my God, my aide will get on the phone with you and we'll take down where that is because we need to make sure that we're turning on every city streetlight that is off in the city immediately. But that the answer to that constituent is, I heard you and I'm going to fix your problem.
Yes.
How can I fix your problem?
Bananas.
I have a new idea that it came to me when we had this conversation initially, which is that I don't think we should let people step down from national office into local office. Because Karen Bass is operating like a member of Congress right now, where she thinks that like advocating for policy in the vague sense is like more important than her job, like solving problems for constituents in her city.
Yeah. And because she also talked about making them all solar so we can get rid of the copper out of there. It's and like do that.
Sure.
You know, that's a 10-year project. Like this person is like worried about walking on their dark street because the street lights are
exactly. And like the answer to that question is not an explanation of why the lights are out. No. It's that we're on it.
Yeah, we'll be there soon.
Yes. Like, the idea that she didn't know that instinctively is a sign of someone who was in Congress.
Sure.
Who was like, well, I don't solve that problem. Why don't you call so-and-so else?
They don't solve any problem.
Right, exactly. I'm not here to solve problems. But, so I feel like that is something that I've been thinking about recently is how poorly suited a lot of the ways in which she's handled these kinds of like messaging crises, because there's no reason she should be as unpopular as she is, considering that Rick Caruso is the alternative. It's her obsession with police and her inability to message about literally any other policy or priority at all, or anything about her actual job.
The only time she comes out of her hole is to talk about the need for more police.
Yeah. And it's like, well, there are a lot of problems right now facing LA. Where are you on any of them? Well, we know where you were during the fires, not here. But like, you know, the kind of, she never has done anything to like come back from that talking point, which is what ruined her initially.
And you want to know what's crazy? She's obviously going to get beat by Rick Caruso on this issue.
I know, which is crazy.
That's what's crazy.
The man who hired private firefighters to save his mall instead of local homes?
Yes. I mean, like, she's going to enter into a race against him. And he's going to make public safety his main issue.
That's right.
And the people whose issue...
Because he saved his mall.
And the people whose main issue is public safety are going to vote for him anyway. And then she's going to have pissed Democrats off because all she's done is spent the last 4 years talking about more police.
No, it's crazy.
It's so stupid.
It's infuriating.
Politically, it's stupid. Besides, like...
Yeah. No, that is what has been infuriating me about Democratic fumbles all year. Is that... It's political stupidity.
Right.
A lot of this is shenanigans anyway.
Right.
We are losing a political messaging war to nonsense people.
Yeah.
We could outsmart them with words. None of you fools do anything anyway a lot of the time. Don't worry about the policy pieces of it. But we can't, like, we're not even outsmarting them with words. Not even in the realm of nonsense are we outsmarting them. Mm-hmm. We're being outsmarted with words, and then they're also doing nothing but getting credit for doing something, and we're somehow getting credit for doing nothing. It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
What they need is like a good writer in there.
Sure.
You know, it's like it's not even a question of political strategy at this point.
Right. Well, it's an ideas person. Remember,
they need an ideas person.
That's a theme on this podcast.
Let me tell you how hard it is to get in there as an ideas person.
Well, yeah.
In any case, we have one final story for you, and it's that the Texas Senate race is for John Cornyn's seat is getting crazy.
I feel like we don't have to talk about it a lot because
there's not much to talk about.
There's not much to talk about, but I feel like I have a key takeaway, which should be your key takeaway, and that's really what I want to talk about here, because I feel like everybody has got a hot take on the internet about this right now, right? Can she win a general election?
Jasmine Crockett,
yes, excuse me. Can she win a general election? Can she beat, what's his name, James Tallarico? Yeah. Who is the better person to take on Ken Paxton, who's the crazy attorney general? Because the Republicans are having their own, like, wacko primary, or are going to anyway, because there's, like, nutbags running there. It's Cornyn who's running for re-election, but like then there's other, you know, like Ken Paxton specifically, who's like quite literally crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and so like and then it's like people had thoughts about like her launch video, which is that one with just her standing there and like Trump quotes talking about how she's the low IQ person.
Right.
Did you see this?
Yes, I did.
Which, like, you know, is maybe clever, but like she's not running against Trump, and like she's running in a plus like 15 or 16 Trump state or something. That doesn't make a weird, again, sort of like political choice to make. But like my takeaway is less of a hot take, and it's that both of them are going to lose by anywhere between 8 and 14 points.
Yeah.
And this is something that, like, the closest Senate race that they have had in some time is that Beto race, and I think he lost by like 5 points.
Yeah.
And that, and nothing else.
Think about how much effort we put into that race.
Right, and that was against noted, deplorable Ted Cruz, was it not?
Yeah.
Like, and he's more hated than Cornyn is. Now, if Paxton wins, I think it gets a little trickier, although he keeps winning re-election statewide. So, like, who even knows?
Well, their other option was to run a person who famously has already lost one of these races, because it's a statewide race. Because Colin Allred is who stepped out of the race so that Jasmine Crockett could jump in. So,
But this is one of those situations where I think, and we've talked a lot about it on this podcast, we talked about it fairly recently because Amy McGrath is now rerunning. We get these people who we have a lot of hope about being able to sort of like flip something blue or do something dramatic or, be the next great and wonderful Democrat on the national scene or whatever it is. And then we send, Jasmine Crockett a freaking billion of our dollars.
Right.
And then in the most unsurprising election result that has ever happened in the history of time, she loses by 11 points.
Right, of
course. And then everybody has to go around acting sad that Jasmine Crockett lost in Texas. We know. Right. We know now it's December 14th. She's not going to win next November. And guys, probably neither is James Tallarico.
No.
And that's sad. I get it.
Sure.
That's, there's good people in Texas and they deserve to not have Ken Paxton be their senator, for God's sake. But, that's life.
Well, and also, they never use these opportunities to, do the kind of national party messaging that would actually move people in other states because they're so careful because they don't want to upset Texas voters. So it's listen, you're running a losing race that's going to be high profile because it's a major state. Great. You have a platform to explain what Democrats can do down ballot for people in districts that have a little bit more flexibility.
Sure.
What can Democrats do for Texans in a congressional district or whatever? What is our platform?
Sure.
But instead, because they have to run people that they think that they're kind of tailoring to winning an R plus 15 district or whatever, they run people who actually can't articulate any sort of platform.
Yeah.
And then it's well, you've wasted all those millions of dollars and all of that visibility on nonsense because you were never going to win the Senate race. And so why didn't you form that campaign as an opportunity to do serious messaging for other candidates on behalf of people who need to explain what Democrats actually do and are more likely to hear about a state level race than a local race or whatever, and sort of use that opportunity for visibility in a way that benefits Democrats nationally.
Right.
They never do that.
No.
I would say Beto got the closest, but he had the most money. But also, I think, squandered it the most. But oftentimes, the Amy McGraths of the world don't stand for anything. And so they run them over and over and over again in these losing races. But Amy McGrath does nothing for down ballot Democrats. No. She doesn't do anything for national Democrats.
No.
And when you have a seat like a Texas seat that is going to be visible no matter what, and that's where I think someone like Jasmine Crockett is maybe a smart candidate, because I think she is somebody who can maybe offer something to the national brand of Democrats in running for that seat. But she's not going to win it. And so they should run the campaign, they should run a Hail Mary campaign.
Oh, I see.
They should run a good messenger. She's a good messenger.
Yeah.
Run somebody who can get media, run someone who has visibility.
Sure.
Absolutely. It's a great opportunity to get the national brand out. In the world. But do it as a Hail Mary pass. Don't do it as a careful campaign that acts like it might win.
I agree.
Try something.
Yeah, try something. And also, yes, I agree that that's what they should do. But you, as a listener who may have a limited amount of money. No,
shouldn't put money into it.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah. Don't put money into that race.
Look at the map.
Right.
And say, there's a competitive race going on in Maine.
Right.
We don't know who the Democratic nominee is going to be, but I would contend probably either of them are going to probably have a close race. We've got, I can't think of where else, off the top of my head, but it's just we have to, we get excited about these things where it's just Jamie Harrison. Remember when we sent Jamie Harrison?
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
$1 trillion in South Carolina to lose
Jamie
by
Harrison
100 points.
Are the two people that I'm most annoyed by. And Colin Allred.
You have to think about the races that, especially in a year where the map isn't great, guys. No. Where are we putting our energy? Where are we sending our volunteers? Where are we knocking on the doors? Where are we sending the money? Where are we doing all of those things?
Use media savvy in the ones that you can't win. Run a media personality.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like Jasmine Crockett is a smarter candidate for that seat for that reason. I don't want to lose her from a position of visibility else. I mean, I feel mediocre about her politics, but I think she's a good messenger. And I feel like there's so few in the Democratic Party.
Too true.
So, I would like her to be used for the thing that she is good at.
Yeah.
And I think that is something she's good at. Certainly better than Colin Allred.
Totally.
But that's kind of if you're going to run a race that way, A, you listener don't donate to it, but B, run it like you're running a national campaign. Sure. Run it, run it to improve Democratic chances everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't run it like you're going to win the...
I think that's a good idea.
Do it in a way that's principled. Yeah. Stand for something. That's really what I'm saying. Stand for something.
Yeah.
That's... stop beating around the bush. Anyway, that's the news this week.
There we go.
We probably won't be back until after the holidays, knowing
it'll
us.
Be the New Year, probably.
Yeah. So, have a great holiday.
Yeah.
And a Happy New Year. And you'll hear from us after that. Bye.
Bye.